Welcome to Eerily Ever After. The story I'm about to tell is titled The Last Ride. Aaron had never wanted to be a rideshare driver. It was supposed to be temporary, just something to make ends meet while he worked on his real dreams. He hated the long hours, the small talk, the way some people acted like he wasn't even there. Driving was never the plan, but plans didn't pay the bills. It started after his last job fell through. He was behind on rent, drowning in bills, and with every passing day, the walls seemed to close in. Desperation does strange things to people. It makes them reckless. So when a man in a sleek black suit sat next to him at the bar one night and said, "I can make your problems disappear," Aaron should have walked away. He didn't. The man had no name, at least not one he gave. Just cold, sharp eyes and a presence that made the air around him feel wrong. "I hear you're looking for a way out," the man had said, stirring his drink lazily. "I have an opportunity, a job that pays, well..." Aaron chuckled bitterly. "I already have a job. Two, actually. Neither pays enough." The man smiled. "This one is different. All you have to do is drive." Aaron frowned. "Drive where and when?" The man slid a small black key across the table. "You'll know when it's time." Aaron hesitated. Something about this felt off, but the weight of his debt pressed against him like a vice. "All you have to do is drive when the time comes," the man said, pressing the antique key into Aaron's palm. "And in return, everything you've ever wanted will be yours." Aaron didn't ask questions. He should have. But at the time, he half thought the man was just drunk and weird. He just wanted the conversation to end, so he took the key and shoved it into his pocket, thinking he'd never use it. He couldn't have been more wrong. The years of success. The next morning, everything changed. Money flowed effortlessly. A luxury apartment, expensive suits, VIP access. He never checked his bank account. He didn't have to. The moment he realized he didn't need rideshare anymore, he deleted the app without hesitation. For the first time in his life, he was free. Or so he thought. Years passed, and he never once thought about the app. His wealth never ran dry. He traveled, invested, became the kind of man he used to resent when he was struggling to make ends meet. It was like the universe had bent itself in his favor. Until one night at exactly 3:33 a.m. his phone buzzed. Not a text, not a call. The rideshare app was back on his phone, and there was a notification. "New ride request. Aaron, it's time to drive." His fingers trembled as he tried to delete the app again. But no matter how many times he uninstalled it, it would reappear. No matter how many times he turned off his phone, it would power back on. A force he couldn't resist was pulling him back behind the wheel. And the moment he logged in again, he was no longer just a driver. He was something else. At first, it seemed like a normal shift. Then he noticed. The passengers rarely spoke. They never opened the doors. They just appeared in his back seat. Their drop-off points weren't just locations. They were pivotal moments in time. Aaron was no longer driving people to places. He was driving them to their destinies. Every ride corrected something, sealed something, set something in motion. A distraught woman needed to get to a train station in 1943. He later realized she was the mother of a man who would one day invent an artificial heart. A young boy in a baseball uniform needed to be dropped off in 1962. That boy would grow up to become a senator who changed history. A nervous man sat in the back seat tapping his fingers. Aaron dropped him off in 1985, unaware that the man wasn't supposed to survive that night. But because of that ride, the man lived, and history shifted. Aaron was placing people where they needed to be. If he refused, the world glitched. Traffic lights blinked in impossible patterns. Pedestrians flickered between ages and eras, a child turning into an old woman and back again. He learned quickly, if he didn't drive, reality unraveled. Aaron wasn't a man anymore. He was a custodian of fate, a timekeeper. His passengers, echoes of time, waiting to be set on the right path. His car, a vessel, an anchor between past, present, and future. And himself, a ghost behind the wheel. He had made a deal for riches, but it had cost him something far more valuable. His freedom, his existence, his right to be remembered, the regret. Aaron had everything he ever wanted in life. But what did it matter when he was now trapped in a timeline he could never leave? He thought about the brother he ignored when he needed him most. The mother he never visited before she died. The love he lost because he believed there would always be more time. Now he had all the time in the world, but he could never go back. One night, another request came in. He checked the pickup location. His stomach dropped. It was him. Not the man he was now, but the man he had been years ago. The Aaron who hadn't yet made the deal. The Aaron who still had a choice. The young man sat on the curb outside his apartment, rubbing his face, exhausted and beaten down by life. Aaron pulled up, and the younger version of himself slid into the back seat. "Rough night?" future Aaron asked. "Yeah," the younger man muttered. "Thinking about quitting this rideshare thing." Aaron gripped the wheel tighter. This was his chance, his only chance to warn himself, to stop the loop before it started. "Listen," Aaron started. "You don't have to," but the words caught in his throat. He couldn't say them, because he wasn't in control. The car moved forward, following the invisible pull of fate. Aaron's younger self sighed, looking out the window unaware. When they stopped, he opened the door, pausing only to say, "Thanks, man," and then he was gone. Aaron sat in the driver's seat, watching as his past self stepped into the bar, watching as the man in the black suit slid a small black key across the table. It was always meant to happen. The shift had never been a punishment. It was a debt, one he had already paid, one he would always pay. And Aaron, he drove on, forever,